Hey you guys, what's up? If you are new here, my name is Taquisha and this is Our Freedom Song. And I am so happy that all of you guys are here joining me right now in the greenhouse, and we will be going out to the garden because today I'm going to try 3 different ways to plant carrots. So I tried to plant carrots. Well, we did. I planted carrots last season using the method where you sparsely sprinkle the carrot seeds onto the ground and then you put something heavy like a board over the top so that the seeds can stay in place and sprout. And I did not have success with that. I don't know what I did that was wrong, but we barely got any carrots. And so this year I'm going to be trying several different ways to plant carrots. I am more aware of the soil needs for the carrots, meaning not too dense. And there's just some things that I've researched that I've found that I feel like I can implement this time that is going to give us a greater success rate, because we only got like a handful of carrots before, and I'm trying to yield an abundance of carrots. You hear me? Like abundance. And so we are going to be trying out 3 different methods, experimenting with them, because that's the best thing that you can do in the garden is experiment and see what works for you and your area, your zone, your garden with your skill. And so I think that these are pretty straightforward, and I hope it helps you. I hope, first of all, that all of them are successful. And then I hope that this helps you as much as it's going to help us. Okay, so first up, I want to show you these sprouted carrots seeds. These are sprouted carrot seeds, and not all of them have sprouted. It's been about 6 days, and I already see that there are several in here that has sprouted. And this is just a little container, you know, from the store that you buy something. I don't know what was in here, tomatoes or I don't know, something like that. So I laid down some paper towel, and then I just wet that paper towel, sprinkled the seeds over it, and each day I've put a little water on there. And so what I'm planning to do is to plant the seeds that has sprouted to see if our germination rate is just better and we have success with that. So that is going to be one of the methods that I do today. Another method that I try out today, I've been talking about this for a while, cannot wait to use these egg cartons. So since these egg cartons are biodegradable, they will break down in the soil. What my intention is to put 2 carrot seeds in each one of those divots and then plant it like that. And that is for a couple reasons. I'm hoping that I won't have to then carrots. I've seen several methods where they're talking about like pretty much pouring all of your carrot seeds down into like a trench, and then after a period of time, you know, thinning. Thinning can mean that they are pulling them up, and when the carrots are small enough to actually eat them and use them. But sometimes thinning is before carrots are formed and they're just picking and snipping it off. If I sow a whole pack of carrots and I have to thin a third of them, I just wasted a third pack of carrots that were all viable, obviously, because they grew, and I just don't want to have to do that if I don't have to. I'm going to do 2 seeds so to try to assure that I'm going to at least get a carrot. And I have several of these containers that were given to me, and so that's what I'm going to do, and they are perfectly spaced for a large carrot, and I'm hoping for really great success with this method. The final method that I'm going to be doing is the gel method. So with the gel method, the idea is that the gel keeps the seeds moisturized, because one of the things that happens with carrot seeds is that they dry out. Carrot seeds need to be moist. They need to stay moist so that they can actually sprout. So let me show you how I made this seed gel. So I was so intimidated by the thought of starting seed gel, but it was so simple. If you are thinking about a method to use for small seeds, I would definitely say to try this out because it was quick and very simple. The recipe I used was 1/4 cup of cornstarch to 2 cups of water, and that is it. This ratio is supposed to be great for a whole packet of carrot seeds. My seeds were actually already opened, so it wasn't a full pack. Although I am making this seed gel for 3 different varieties, they do all have close maturity days, and so from 65 to 75 days. All 3 carrot varieties are from botanical interest, and so that variable is the same. Cornstarch thickens very, very quickly, so you cannot leave the stove. So this is all in the matter of like 2 minutes. It happens very, very quick. The recommendation is to do it on low to medium heat. Don't forget to label your bags if you are doing different varieties, because once they are in the bag, all of it's going to look exactly the same. Once your gel has cooled down, it's now time to add your carrots to the mixture. I used a 1/2 gallon jar to insert our bag into because it's so much easier to fill like this. I repeated this process 3 times, 1 for each pack of carrots. So this is the bed that I am planning to plant with our gel seeds, and right now it has potting soil in there. And what I'm going to do this year that I didn't know I needed to do, or that would be beneficial last year, is to add some sand with the soil. Just like with how you choose to plant your carrots, there is so much information on how much sand should be mixed into the soil. Some people that I saw did 50% compost with 50% soil. Since I did use potting mix, it already has perlite in there. I am not going to do 50% sand. I am just simply eyeing it, and I'm going to mix it in and see what it looks like. And also for the spacing, I read so many different things about spacing for carrots. One of the things I read for spacing said that your carrots can be in the same row like 1 inch apart, which we're doing gel, so we can't really control that. That's what the gel is supposed to help with, is spacing out your carrots. As far as the rows go, I've read so many different things. If you Google it, it will say 18 to 24 inches in between rows. I watched videos that people did 6 to 7 inches. Some did 8 inches. Some do closer, some do further apart. So there's so much information out there to kind of sort through. I am going to, I think, go with 8 inches. It just depends on the size carrots that you really want. So you want to give them more room to grow if you want them to be bigger. And so I'm going to do 8 inches and we're going to go with that. And we are going to see how great that ends up being. It just looks like a sandy soil. So you can tell that there's more soil than there is sand. And that's what I'm going to go with. I am planning to use my husband's carpenter square to get my rows 8 inches apart. Okay, so taking a step back, you can see my divots and small trenches that I'm going to use to place in our seed gel. So I ended up making my hole a little bit bigger than I intended to, but it worked out actually because the gel was so thick that it needed a chunky big hole like that in order to squeeze out. So I'm just going to pipe this gel into these small trenches. It was so simple, y'all, planting this many seeds so quickly. I really love this method. So I'm just going to, light as possible, put the thinnest layer that I can put on these. The soil that I just showed you, I mixed sand inside of. You can see that it's a dark color, almost looks black, with little specks of creamish white. And then behind it is fully brown. So I just mixed some sand into that soil as well. That soil is the soil that was just in this bed. It is actually not potting soil completely. It has lots of pine straw in there. There's no new layer. So this had the same soil in it, but I topped it off with a thick layer of potting soil. So you can see the difference. So because I still have more seed gel, I am going to use that space as well. I'm going to amend that soil first since it doesn't have any fertilizer in it with some fish emulsion, which is the liquid one I have right here all mixed up. I'm going to just dampen that soil over there with some fish emulsion. Then I'm going to sow the seeds, and then after everything is already planted, after the whole bed is planted, I'm going to sprinkle some of these castings, some worm castings over the whole entire bed. We are going to have this bed completed with carrots, all using the gel method. 2/3 of the bed will have used potting soil, and then the other third of the bed will have just used the soil that was in this bed with fish emulsion. And so we'll be able to watch that grow and see what the difference is, if there's a tremendous difference or not. So here's to experimentation. I am back in the greenhouse, and I took off the other part of this and the little lip, and so I have these egg cartons ready, and I'm about to mix up this potting soil with a little bit of sand. It's definitely not 50-50, so maybe it's a third, 2/3 mixture, a third of sand, 2/3 potting soil. And so yeah, I'm just going to mix this up. After I mix it up, I am going to add some worm castings, just an extra dose of nutrients to this mix, and then I'm going to fill our containers up. So I'm going to be planting a few different varieties. This yellow carrot, this black carrot is another one that I really want to grow. I have a little fingers carrot, as well as, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. And all of the days are similar, so I'm gonna try that out. I have some more purple carrots. I don't know if I'm going to plant these since I already did these in the other batch, but if I have more space, then I will come back to these. Red seeds are pretty small. They're not the smallest seed I've ever seen, but they are small. Just in case you've never seen a carrot seed, this is what they look like. So I'm actually going to top these with some peat moss since it's nice and soft, and see how that goes. So last but not least, I'm going to be planting our sprouted carrots in a grow bag. This is actually the first time that I've used a grow bag, and so I'm really excited about that. We have so many grow bags actually because a really sweet guy who watches our channel sent us more grow bags than I can even count at the moment, and it's so exciting. I've been trying to figure out how to exactly incorporate them into the garden, but I am excited to use our first grow bag and see if we can't plant some carrots in here. I have about half the bag at the moment. It is filled with our soil from out of the garden that's already been used, and I'm going to fill it up the rest of the way with our mixture of sand and soil. I actually really like the idea of using a grow bag for carrots. Carrots are one of those things that you sow, like we're sowing it in the fall, but it'll actually still be growing in the spring when it's time to plant our spring crops. And so I don't want my carrots to be any place that I want to plant a spring crop because they cross over in seasons. And so carrots typically, from what I understand, take about 4 months. And so I don't want to plant carrots in any of our main boxes that we want to plant cucumbers or tomatoes or anything that we want to plant in the spring. We want to keep these in a space that are designated for crops like this that take a long time. Garlic is another one of those things. We don't want to plant our garlic any place that we want to plant our spring crops. And so I am just going to pick ones that already have, let's see if I can't pick that up and show you. So you see that this is already started to form, and I'm believing that that's a little root, but it's already sprouted, and I'm only going to use ones out of this container that has sprouted. Next up, I want to show you what I'm going to be doing outside for cover crops. I'm going to be planting some red clover. This will be the first year that we've done a cover crop. I did not do a cover crop last year. This is only our second year, our second fall gardening. I loved fall last year. It was absolutely my favorite. And so I read about red clover, and so I definitely wanted to plant some. I'm so happy I was able to find these seeds. I paid $6 for this big bag of seeds from my local farm store, and I'm just going to plant them in this bed and we're going to see what happens. So I'm also going to be planting field peas as a cover crop. It's so cool to think that all these beans that we eat are just seeds. I just think that's the coolest thing. But I'm going to plant this in the bed right across from the other bed that I planted the clover. Well, that is it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today in the garden. I do hope that that was helpful for you in some type of way. Rather, you didn't know anything about how to plant carrots, or if you know everything about how to plant carrots and you're just inspired watching somebody out in their garden, loving it, having the best time, planting all the things, even if that was what it was for you. I'm so happy that you have decided to hang out with me today in the garden. I look forward to chatting with you guys down there in the comments. Listen, if you have carrot tips, please drop them down below so that others can benefit from your wealth and value of information in this area. There are so many different ways to plant carrots, and people have stories about what works for them, and I would love to hear them all. And mostly, even more than that, I love what a resource it is down there in the comments. People scroll, you be scrolling be scrolling in them comments to see what else you could see. And so definitely leave your best tips down below. It would be a benefit to us all. Thank you again for hanging out with me today, and I will see you guys next time.